I'm joined by Matt Navarra. He's a former digital communications advisor to the UK government. He's also one of the best known social media commentators, critics anywhere. Thanks, Matt. Great to have you on board. So I thought it would be quite interesting to go through a couple of basic questions and then sort of see what your answers to that are. So the first question, and I think everybody wants to know this, will Threads challenge Twitter's dominance?
I think it will. I think this is the first app that's come up, or a platform that's come out, that's going to really challenge Elon Musk and Twitter. It's got the brilliance of linking it to Instagram, which will help bring in a lot of people, a lot of users very quickly, and people will go to Threads and find a lot of people that they know and brands and creators that they like already there. And it also has the familiarity of Twitter. So for people who are looking for something that's like Twitter, but it isn't Twitter because they're fed up with how Twitter is performing or what Elon Musk is doing, they will now have a new place to go. So I think that there's great opportunity for them. And I think for Meta, it's low-hanging fruit for them to build something like this.
Is Threads more user-friendly than Twitter, at least at the moment?
Well, at the moment, it's very similar. There are the core features you would expect in terms of replying and reposting or retweeting, as you would call it, on Twitter, and all of the other things like attaching images or video. That's all there, and it all looks very similar to Twitter. There are things that are missing. It doesn't have hashtags. Its search features are not particularly good. It doesn't have a trending page, and you can't sort things chronologically, amongst many other things. But generally, it's a very good start for Meta, I think.
Is Twitter on the decline after Musk's takeover?
Well, it's going through spiraling downwards, I think, is what we would say at the moment in terms of people's satisfaction. It depends. If you're a supporter or somebody that likes Elon Musk, you might find that Twitter is perfect for you. But I think for the core users that have been there for a long time, I think the policy changes and the bugginess of the platform and the fact that a lot of the people that used to be there are not as active as they were are things that make people unhappy with Twitter. So I think it is struggling at the moment.
Is Twitter better suited to news?
Well, at the moment, probably yes, because it was built around that, or at least it became to be known for the real-time social media and news, and it's set up for that very well, and people expect that from it. And I think at the moment we're waiting to see with Threads if the features and the algorithm and the way that you view content on there is going to allow it to be a platform for news. But from what I can see, there's no reason why news publishers will not be able to make a new home there if they wanted to.
Why has Meta not launched Threads in the European Union?
Well, in the EU, there is rules called GDPR to do with data privacy and getting permissions for people for them to use people's data. And at the moment, the way that Threads is set up through Instagram, it doesn't have doesn't meet the criteria or the regulatory requirements it has to. So for the time being, people in the EU can't access it. And of course, the UK isn't part of the EU, so it's separate. So the UK users do get to have access to the app for now, but it may well change, but it's going to take some time for them to fix that, I think.
So takedown requests versus freedom of speech, will Threads be quote unquote safer than Twitter? And I think that's relevant, from us over here in India, where troll attacks and just rubbish on Twitter seems to dominate commentary so often. So therefore I use the word safer. It may not be the most appropriate term, but you know what I'm trying to hint at here.
Yeah, I think that we'll find it, and that there will inevitably quite quickly be spam and bots and trolls and all the things you expect on all social platforms. But Meta is geared up for that, I think, with the technology it uses across all of its platforms, and it's able to build upon that. I think that we'll still see the sort of toxic social media content that we see on all social platforms. But if you're making a comparison with Twitter and Meta's Threads, I think that there's a good potential that it'll feel a little bit safer and it'll feel a little bit less toxic. But I think that's going to take time to see how much better or worse it will be. But I think it will work out better than Twitter at the moment.
There's one concern that Threads collects intrusive personal data. What is your reading on that?
Well, it's true. Meta and the Threads collects a lot of data about its users, and it's clear in its terms and conditions for that, as much as any of the social media apps are. TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, they're all using our data in similar ways, some more so than others. And yet we all know this, and many people are still using all of these apps. So I don't think this is going to make a great deal of difference to people, because if they were concerned about Threads taking a lot of their data or using a lot of their data, then they would also probably choose not to use TikTok or Twitter, which does much the same. So I'm not so sure that that's going to be as big an issue as maybe people think, but it is still a concern for people who want to keep privacy, I think.
Twitter has faced lots of issues in India, certainly in other countries as well, with regard to takedown requests. And that's been controversial because it pits freedom of speech, which I alluded to earlier on. But do you believe that this might actually be another challenge, particularly in several governments across the country who are worried about safety? How they define safety, of course, is sometimes controversial. But Threads is going to have to deal with the same set of concerns that Twitter has had to deal with.
They're going to have to tackle the same problems, and they're going to have to respond and react to the laws of the land in any country it operates in, and they will probably act and behave in much the way they do in other countries it operates. And so they will have to abide by those rules and policies or face the actions of any regulator in the countries it operates. So I'm sure that it will comply where it needs to comply, but it will also, I'm sure, challenge back the things where it doesn't believe it's a moderation that needs to take place. And it's a delicate balance, but this is what social networks have had to deal with for years, and nothing has changed today by the launching of Threads.
Is there anything that you've seen which leads you to believe that the architecture of Threads would ensure that there are fewer bots and trolls?
It's too early to say how effective Meta's moderation tools are going to be. I've certainly seen on Threads already there is spam there, and there is kind of content that maybe is not ideal or they wouldn't want there, but no more than any other platform that we're using at the moment. But I think we will see, as more people come on board the platform, that will increase, and then we'll get an idea of how effective the moderation tools are. But if we look at Instagram and we look at Facebook and see how that looks, we probably can make a judgment as to how effective it will be, because it's going to be using a lot of the same technology.
How important is Threads for Meta?
I think it's, as I said at the beginning, low-hanging fruit. This is a great opportunity. Elon Musk has handed this to them on a plate, really, with the behaviour he's made. He's been showing with Twitter and the changes he's made. I think that there is every chance that this will be around in a year from now. I think that the question will be, can Meta transform a platform that was a text-based platform that only had 200 or 300 million users for Twitter? Can they make it more mainstream and appeal to people beyond those that are typical users of Twitter? And if they can do that, then a year from now we could be seeing another platform that could make them a significant amount of revenue from advertising and from other monetization options and features that they put in place.